Ready, record. Okay, so we're going to talk about printing, and I'm going to open up my file here. And when you guys get a message like this, and you oftentimes will, don't just hit OK and hope everything's going to be all right. You actually want to read these messages now that you're getting more serious. And this says the document contains 2 links to sources that are missing. You can find or relink the missing links using the links panel. It's telling me what the problem is, and it's also telling me how to solve the problem. If I click OK and don't look at that, I will be a little bit lost. Okay? So what does all this mean? It means that this image of the oxen that I've scanned in, and this is actually also an image of that oxen, it's just the texture from his belly, these may be missing, but how do I know that's it? What told me to go to the links file, or links panel rather. And here is the linked graphic. It's used 2 times, it's ox1.tiff, and I've used it 2 times. You guys see that? It has a stop sign with a question mark. This means that this graphic has been missing. Maybe I moved it, maybe I renamed it, I don't know. But I'm going to click on that first top one, and I'm going to tell it to relink by clicking on the relink all instances of ox1.tiff. So I'm going to click on that link. Now I have to find it. There it is. It's in my, I created an images folder because I'm fairly organized. And any image I was thinking about using, you can see there's Jim Carrey and Open Hand, some other images I was playing with, is right here in my images folder. If I don't know where that is, then that's a problem. I may have to rescan it if I throw it away. Yes.
I mean, that's what the computer may be telling you is missing,
that
image.
That
it's not
image.
With the file.
It's not linked up in the InDesign file.
Okay.
If the computer was restarted, or maybe this was on the desktop, this Ox thing, and I moved it over here to this images folder on this drive, it goes, I don't know where it is. Last time I knew it was on the desktop. Yeah. It even tells me, look, it says here, located on Macintosh hard drive in Lab T332 on the desktop was ox.tiff. Where is it now? Well, I moved it. I moved it to this thaw drive in my Bilbrey folder in my type class Project 1 images.
Very good.
Okay, so it didn't know to look for it there because last it knew it was on the desktop. So after I placed it in InDesign and I was ready to leave, I went ahead and organized my files. It's like, oh, I'm leaving, I better organize these files. And I moved them. So I hit open. No explanation points, no question marks. This is a linked graphic. If I don't link graphics, when I go to print, they will print pixelated. And that's not pretty. It makes it look low resolution. Okay, I'm going to hit the W key. This is my working mode right here. Okay, it doesn't look as good, does it? W is what you see is what you get. Print preview or working preview. Okay. Now you'll see I have what's called a bleed on my graphic. What's a bleed? Anybody know?
Extra space so that when it gets printed at the printer, it doesn't show white.
Yes. It's extra color or image that goes beyond the trimmed mark, the edge of the page, so that when the bindery department at the printer cuts it, if they're slightly off, I don't get a little sliver of white paper there. If they're slightly off, I get the same color I'm using. So I've bled this graphic. The minimum is 1/8 of an inch. This is quite a bit more than 1/8 of an inch. Okay, so I've got my bleed. So we're ready to, let's do this first. Let's talk about saving backwards because some of you guys are on the cloud. Now I'm not going to guarantee this works, but it should. To save backwards, say you're coming in here to print, because printing is really inexpensive now. Go to File, Export. This is going from the cloud to CS6. File, Export. And where it says Format, you want to choose IDML, InDesign Markup Language is what that stands for. InDesign Markup, IDML. Okay? But the IDML stands for InDesign Markup Language. And theoretically, I should be able to open this in an older version of InDesign. Now, I'm in InDesign 6. I could open this in InDesign 5, assuming it's the IDML file. If you're on the cloud and you can go to File and Export and choose IDML, In theory, you should be able to take that IDML file in here and open it up in 6. in theory. I don't know until we try to practice whether or not that'll work, but it should work.
When you say backwards, you mean saving down?
Yeah, it's like saving down. You just can't specify which version of InDesign. Okay? Now, this is still an INDD file, but this was just so you guys know. An IDML file is so that if you want to transport that file here and open it, that's the best way to be able to manage that. Now, let's talk about PDFs real quick, because you will actually need to write one during the final project phases, and you may need one to take to Kinko's, if you have Kinko's close by, or you work at a printer and you want to just deal with it there because they don't have the latest version of InDesign. And most Kinko's or most FedEx places do not have the latest versions. They're several versions old. So here's how you would prepare this to print from FedEx or Office Max or Staples. A lot of those Staples and Office Max have print places too. So we're going to create a printable high-resolution PDF with crop marks, and in this case with bleeds. That way when you go to cut it out, you have a little bit of room for error. So we go to File, and then a little over halfway down is this thing called Adobe PDF Preset. Now, you have options. High quality print is the first one. Well, there's define, which we're not going to worry about that. High quality print, PDF 1, 2, 3, and 4, press quality, and smallest file size. Which one do you think I give to clients? Exactly, because it's pixely. And I don't want them to use it and print from it.
Can't they get in trouble?
Yes, they can, but some people don't care. So I always give my clients smallest file size for approval. But when I'm printing, I go high quality print. This is the simple way. If you're working with a specific printer and they want you to do it specific ways, you may have to go to define and put in the numbers that they tell you to. But for now, high quality print will get you what you need. Now it's asking me, where do you want to save this to? Well, I'm in my Project 1 folder. Cool thing is if I've worked on this and saved it, it'll automatically go there. Otherwise, I have to find it. So this is going to call this file. It started with an ox symbol, and it's going to put .pdf at the end. I hit save, but I have these options. Now, what you do want here is you do want to go to marks and bleeds over here on the far left. There's general. We don't really change much here. Marks and bleeds is the most important place. So we're going to tell it to put crop marks on. The other marks for Kinko's, they don't need them. They'll just get in the way. So just crop marks. And then you want to set your bleed to either P9, or if I'm in inches, maybe you're not in picas, it's 0.125 inches. Okay, that means it's going to print that far past the cut line. Now you'll notice that it automatically will, when I hit the tab key to go to the next field, it'll automatically turn 0.125 to P9. So P9, which is 9 points, 9 points is equivalent to 1/8 of an inch. 1/8 of an inch in decimal points is 0.125. Many of you know that, and some of you don't. Okay? So this is 1/8 of an inch. What's that? I put, no, 1.25. It's, you could, yeah, .125, 0.125, and I have to put IN at it at the end because this is in picas right now. If I just put 0.125 and I hit the tab key, it changes it to 1.5 points bleed, which is about the size of 2 human hairs. So that's not very much of a bleed. So, .125, IN. There we go. Now I'm going to hit export. We're ready to go with this. Export. Now assuming fonts are loaded, images are great, this should export it to that folder. Now I forgot to tell it to open upon export, but you'll see here there is a PDF. It was created today at 12:17, just a second ago. I always open them because PDFs are really bad about transparencies and stuff, and if you're using any free fonts, it oftentimes messes those up pretty badly. But I want to look at this before I send it out. So what I have here is I have crop marks, which will tell me where to put my ruler to cut it out. I have enough image past the crop mark that's a bleed, so I'm going to cut inside of this about 1/8 of an inch. Notice how I cut all that extra bleed off. It didn't need it. Didn't need it at all. But I have my crop marks and my bleed, And I can take this file to Kinko's, and I just have to tell them to print it on 11 by 17 paper, whatever paper you want to have them print it on. Tell them, do not automatically resize. There's a button when you print this. Don't check or uncheck fit to print area or scale to fit. They always leave it on, and then your stuff, you bring it in here and you're like, oh, I'm all done, I'm wonderful, and your stuff is 12 inches wide. And I'm like, no, it's supposed to be 10. What happened? But it's 10 on my document. Did you go to Kinko's? Did you forget to tell them not to check fit to print area or scale to fit? Oh, I didn't tell them not to do that. Well, that's why. Now, I can walk you through printing a PDF if you wanted to print from a PDF because maybe the IDML file thing doesn't work. So this is a safety margin for you guys who have the cloud. Go ahead and make your PDFs at home, and then you can print from a PDF. So here's how you print from a PDF to our color printers. You go to File, and this might be another bullet point in your notes. Printing from PDF to the color printers.
What was that second one you gave us?
Making a PDF from InDesign. The original thing I showed you, the first thing I showed you was making a PDF from InDesign, and now I'm getting ready to show you how to print a PDF. So I can go to File and Print, and I don't just hit print now and hit OK and think everything's going to be great. You guys are professional, so you have to change everything. Don't let this computer make any choices for you. It's always going to make the wrong ones. So which printer am I going to use? I'm not going to use the black and white, unless I just wanted to pull some black and white proof and make sure all of my spelling is good and my overall composition is nice. Usually we print drafts in color. Sometimes we'll print in black and white if it's really cost prohibitive. Like if we're doing a book, a 20-page book, I'll actually have you guys print black and white proofs on that because it's too expensive. But in this case, I'm only doing a one-off on this, not too bad. So I can either go to Color A or Color B, Xerox 7800. They are both identical manufactured printers, okay? Look, shrink oversized pages. You see that? Kinko's has that automatically selected. Ivy Tech has it automatically selected. So will Office Depot, Office Max, and Staples. So you want to click on actual size. Now you'll see it's cutting my graphic off in the preview.
Did it use the crop marks to determine?
Nope. It's just centering it into that 8.5 by 11, and the crop marks are way out there. Those crop marks aren't even going to print. It's too big for the 8.5 by 11. This right now is an 8.5 by 11 page, so I have to tell it to do an 11 by 17 page. So to get the 11 by 17 option, let's try down here first where it says Page Setup. This is in the lower left-hand corner. I'm going to hit Yes. Do I want to continue? Now it says Format for any printer. I'm not printing to any old printer. I'm printing to Color A. So make sure you choose this printer. Make sure the printer in the original box matches with this one. Paper size. This won't fit on a letter. It will have to fit on tabloid. I hit OK. Look, everything's back to normal in the preview. Nothing's getting cut off. Nothing good is out in the gray area. All right. Now I'm going to hit Print, and it should do just fine.
Tabloid is an old word.
Yes, tabloid means 11 by 17. So if you can't find 11 by 17, look for the word tabloid, because that's the word we use. Oh shoot, on that video I'm going to have to gray that out. It's still videotaping the screen, but I froze it on the overhead. Got to remember to do that. Yeah. Okay, so I typed in my username, or my special name, whatever, password. I hit yes because I'm spending whatever money. And when I go over there, this should come out just fine. Okay? So that's printing a PDF. Now if I go over there to print on 8.5 by 11, I'm in trouble. So I should go over and check, right? Let me check. I don't want to sell you guys the wrong directions, and then all of a sudden we're all printing on 8.5 by 11 on accident.
information behind the.
Okay, here it is. It's just fine. I might want to just check and make sure this is indeed 10 by 10. No problem. 10 by 10, but it's printed on 11 by 17. The reason why we don't print on a 10 by 10 piece of paper is because we don't have any 10 by 10 paper. And we have bleeds and stuff. So this is a little bit of a waste. Okay, now do you want to know how to print from InDesign? Straight from InDesign. Let me close my PDF here. Now we're going to cover printing from InDesign. So here's my InDesign file. Yes, sir?
Those printers are wireless, aren't they? So
No.
if I brought my computer,
I don't believe that they are. We'd have to look up some specs and see if they are, but I don't think so. We have everything connected with the cable to them. So I don't know if there was a wireless option or not. They're new, you would think so, but we haven't bothered to figure it out yet. So if you can figure it out, that'd be great. So I don't know if they're wireless or not. Okay, so we're going to print from InDesign now. A lot of what we just did in printing the PDF also applies to printing InDesign, from InDesign. So we go to File, and we go to Print. Here it looks a little different, but the printer is not going to be the black and white. We're going to use a color printer. Make sure that these are not checked, because if you had printed some grids earlier, these might still be checked on. Print non-printing objects, print blank pages, and print visible guide and baseline grid. So that's how I got those thumbnail grids printed originally, was having those selected. And by default, that might have saved with that document. So make sure those are unchecked. Don't check them. All right, the next thing I'm going to do is I'm going to go to Setup. This is different than the PDF. Setup is where we go to choose the paper size and whether or not we scale it to fit. So here it says paper size is letter. Well, we need to choose tabloid. And we don't really want it nudged up there in the corner. Usually we want that centered. So where it says page position, I usually choose centered. Just looks nicer, and I know that I've got plenty of room to work with. Page position is centered. Make sure scale to fit is not chosen. And by default, it shouldn't be unless you printed it earlier with that on there. Make sure thumbnails is not chosen, because if you printed grids earlier, you may still have that chosen. So make sure you're not printing thumbnails. All right, the next thing I'm going to choose is marks and bleeds. This looks similar to the PDF when we printed it. I turn crop marks on. I uncheck use document bleed settings because I can't get in here and do these fields. They're grayed out. When I uncheck that, now I can set my bleeds to 1/8 of an inch all the way around. And you notice how nothing is changing to 1/8 of an inch except for this top margin. 9 points is 1/8 of an inch. I have to click the link, and it will make sure that link is locked. Those links are linked together, and it will automatically change them all to the same bleed.
No bleed.
No, I want to bleed. I do want to bleed.
So what does that mean? 6 or 12 or something?
0P9 means 9-point bleed. 9 point is equivalent to 1/8 of an inch. Yeah, if I were to type in 0.125 IN, it will automatically figure out that that's P9. Okay?
Call that P9.
Yeah, 9 points. 0 picas, 9 points. Yes, 0 picas, 9 points is what this means. I wish they put 9 PT there so we could, but they don't. Okay, now I'm going to hit print. The preview looks good. A little bit of pink around the preview, that's just telling me that I've set a bleed to print. I hit print. I shouldn't get any errors. I need to import or put my special password in. So let me freeze that screen. Unfreeze the screen. It will ask me, is it okay to spend the kind of money I'm going to spend on this? I hit yes. And it'll come out similar to the PDF from the printer. Okay? What's that? It should look just the same. However, it doesn't always. Sometimes the color profiles are a little wacky between one or the other, and then you may have color difference from the two different files. There may be some color difference. Okay? You guys have any questions about that? I'm going to stop the recording, and